the recording of this is going to be posted back in the Facebook group, so you can always go back, reference it when you need it. So you guys got the floor. If you have a question, just unmute yourself and ask away.
Hey, Brandon, what's going on? It's Tank.
Yeah, let me just, hold on, let me just mute people if they're not talking. All right, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Doing well.
So one question I have is, so on the preview point, by the way, everything's going great. So thank you for all the pointers and everything.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So on the preview appointment, initially when I first discovered you was like through a lot of free content, and in the free content you had mentioned like Zillow ad review, and then after I started going through the course, in the course it doesn't talk about the Zillow ad review in the preview appointment at all. So I was just a little confused on like how to take that approach, because I'm still printing out like this sheet of the Zillow page pretty much, comparing it to the neighbors, which they seem to love, and I would explain to them like, you know, how the saves work, how the Zillow algorithm pretty much works, and people seem to love it. So I kept it in my presentation, but it wasn't mentioned in the course at all. So I didn't know if I should keep it or not.
Yeah, you should absolutely keep it. And I'm slowly updating content in the course, and that Zillow ad review is just not made it back in there yet. But yeah, during the face-to-face preview appointment, as you're going through each step, and I will mark them out right now for everybody just so everyone knows. So you've got number 1 is your home tour, right? Number 2 is your CMA presentation. You get through these real quick. Number 3 is the value presentation. And then 4 is when you plant the seed. And so where I want you guys to do the Zillow ad review, let me just mute people. If you're not talking, just go and mute yourself, is right here. Is during that CMA presentation is where you're going to do your Zillow ad review. Okay. And it sounds a lot more fancier than it really is, but I'm doing exactly what you do. Is I bring what I see on Zillow, and I just give them pointers, right? Like, pictures aren't great, your description isn't great, your pricing as it relates to what I'm going to show you in here, maybe there's some takeaways there, and just giving them pointers on some things as a real estate agent that would help them out. Because, yeah, people, to your point, absolutely love that. They love it. No one's going through and doing a Zillow audit for them. You know?
The number one, the best feedbacks I gotten were the Zillow ad reviews and the safety tips. People love the safety tips,
Absolutely. So, great question.
Another question. So, in the course, during the preview appointment in the course, it seemed a little more. We're providing value, but at the same time, it seemed a little more salesy. So, I had the value proposition in there, but I did like the pre-listing appointment. In the course, you have the pre-listing package. Like, I don't bring that along with me, because during the initial visit, I'm just thinking like, I'm not here to sell them anything. I'm just here to provide value. And then, you know, that's how I've been taking the approach. I don't know if it's like updated now, because in your free content, you talk more about, you know, the first visit is just gaining their trust with building rapport. So I just go in and I do pretty much what you just showed and plant the seed, but I don't leave them like a pre-listing package. I just leave them a folder of the Zillow ad review, along with my resume, you know, 8 tips to sell lead magnet, and as well the safety tips and the CMA. So that's pretty much what I leave them with. No pre-listing package though.
Got it. So there's a couple. There's a progression, right? There's a progression on how to go about really listing a lot of these for sale by owners. So in the beginning, you're going to start off like with the path of least resistance, right? You're going to use script 1.0. You're going to go there and do essentially what you're starting to do right now. But what's going to happen is, as your business matures more and more, you're going to want to do a couple things differently, okay? So let me kind of walk you through the next evolution of where your business is probably going to go, okay? You're going to go on so many appointments. Like a lot of you, like you could set appointments like left and right, no problem, right? Well, eventually you're not going to have time to do that. So I always recommend, depending on an agent's schedule, start off that way. Go get some experience. Go meet some of these for sale by owners. See what the real conversations are like on the battleground, right? After you've done 20, 30, 40 of those face-to-face appointments, then you can shift to this other thing that I teach.
Gotcha.
And so this is how that goes.
Gotcha.
Right? So when you transition, I want you to transition your preview appointments under these circumstances, which are the backup plan.
Gotcha.
So like for me, as an example, and for guys like a Kevin O'Keefe or whoever, I would prefer that you go on a preview appointment later in life under the circumstances of reviewing the backup plan. Like the only reason you're at the appointment is to review the value proposition.
Gotcha.
The only reason you're there. And so in a perfect world, how it should go is you're talking to a for sale by owner. You set the appointment after asking this question. So Tyne, let me ask you a question. Right now, I think your strategy on selling on your own makes a ton of sense, right? I think in this market, chances are you sell this thing on your own. My question is, if we're talking 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months from now, and for whatever reason, you haven't sold a house yet, and be honest, would you consider looking at interviewing a great agent down the road?
Yeah.
And you say yes, right? So then I go to the appointment and then I say, okay, cool. Well, why don't I do this? In the meantime, I'll stop by. I'm going to take a quick peek at the house. I'm looking at other houses that are on the market in the neighborhood. When I'm there, I'll share with you the details of our for sale by owner backup plan so that you have something to fall back on in the event you need to use it. Is that fair?
Yeah, fair.
And they say yes. Awesome. Just set like the best world-class preview appointment on earth. Now, before I move on, let me ask you as an agent, would you prefer to go on preview appointments like that over the ones you're going on now?
Honestly, dude, I've been trying what you've been given and I've been getting good feedback. So I started with, just slowly going in there, the approach of just becoming friends. And then my last 10 appointments, I pretty much went in, all right, well, look, Brandon, given everything we've seen here, I think you'll have no issue selling this on your own at all whatsoever. However, if down the road, if you ever decided to work with an agent, I believe that all the risk should be transferred from the homeowner to myself. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I've created. And my system is specifically created for that reason. So what I mean by that is, one, I have a no handcuff listing agreement. What that means is if we decide to work together and during any point of that time, you decide that you no longer work, or if I'm not providing the service and the value that is up to your standards, you can back out of the agreement anytime whatsoever.
Yeah, and go through the whole value proposition.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and I just been thrown in there. It's a little uncomfortable at first.
Absolutely.
But you know what, dude? I love it. It's giving me great feedback. I already got one listing coming up. I'm working on paperwork right now for it.
That's what I'm saying. So let's just make sure the rest of the group is hearing what we're saying here. What I'm saying is to do exactly what you're doing. Going to the appointment, and then when you're on the appointment, you're discussing the backup plan on that appointment, dude.
Yeah.
That's like key. If you can get through that, your face-to-face appointments are gold.
It was so uncomfortable at first, but now it's like I'm getting good feedback from it, and like people really don't mind it. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna keep pushing through it. There's certain people that I don't push through if I could sense this vibe that they're gonna be like, get the hell out of here.
That's right. Well. So, dude, you're like going through the system like perfectly. By the way, like that's my feedback for you.
Cool.
Let me. What you just said is another good learning takeaway for everyone in the group. What you're referring to are these things that I call bridges. Right? And Anthony, I talked to you about this on our call the other day. The bridge from step 1 to step 2. This is a big bridge. The first bridge is, hey, would you be offended if I shared with you some detailed information about your Zillow ad and the pricing of your property? And if they say no, that'd be great. Cool. Well, then I can go to step number 2, right? And then there's another big bridge from 2 to 3, right? I get through that. And so it just matters on how the appointment goes, to your point. Sometimes you can just get through one and you got to get the hell out of it, Yeah. And so it just depends. Great questions, dude. Nice job. Nice execution.
Thank you to you, man. It's been working amazing.
Good. Happy to hear that. All right. Who's next?
I just
have a
had
quick question.
something to add on to that.
Go ahead.
Or just some clarifying questions.
Go ahead, Joseph. And Mike, I'll come right back to you. Okay, buddy?
I appreciate that.
Go ahead, Joseph.
So yeah, when they agree to the for sale by owner backup plan for you to review that information with them, do you treat that just like a listing appointment, or do you treat it just like a preview appointment where maybe you're not bringing, net sheets or like an in-depth market analysis where you guys are gonna, review a lot of photos and, look at prices and when do you feel like it might make sense to go down that route of exploring that information in greater detail? And I mean, do you have net sheets that you share with them, or is it more of like a cursory kind of like, here are here's some of the information to consider, and then you plant the seed, and then take it from there?
Great question. And so this appointment is a hybrid. It's a hybrid listing consultation, and I will go as far as the consumer wants to take it. But during this period of time, I am pushing them pretty far away. Like when I role play this with you, this will make most of you pretty uncomfortable, right? And so what I mean by that is some of you have heard me use a lot of reverse selling. And so this whole time I'm saying things like, in the event you need to use this, here's what this could look like. Here's what you could consider. All of that type of language, I'm pushing them until they say, well, if they engage me to go further, then I'll go further. But I'm pushing them. They have to pull me to go down that rabbit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
So this is a whole hybrid, and some of these go really well. Some of them, it just depends on how the appointment goes, right? If I can nail the CMA presentation and the person's really feeling that for me, and they're like, oh my God, they're on the edge of their seat, like this is fucking great information, then I know I'm going to push part number 3 pretty hard, right? Just like Tyne was kind of going through, I do the same thing. I'm like, if you get down if you get to a point where you're saying to yourself, man, I don't know, honey, maybe we need to look at some other options. Well, these are the things that we do and to take away some of this risk, some of these things that you're thinking about right now. And when I get to that Smart Seller program, dude, I hit that so hard because the FSBO doesn't lose anything. And the way I position that, I'm like, potentially you could be in a position where you have the best of both worlds. Because Joseph, let me ask you this. Are you concerned with who sells the property or that you just get the highest price? And be honest.
Well, I mean, if you bring a buyer and I netted the money that I needed, then of course, I just want to get the property sold.
That's right. So the way that our Smart Seller, our Savvy Seller program is designed is to make sure that there are no stones left unturned. So potentially, if you decided to go down a path like this, you could have me and you at the same time working to find that buyer out there. And then depending on there, you don't lose any opportunities. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's why. So it all depends on how that appointment goes, but it's a hybrid, and I go as far as the person wants to take it.
Yeah, and I've heard the idea the other day where they communicate with their actions versus kind of like the words that they're saying. They may say that they're not interested, but if they keep on engaging with your conversation, they're still interested in the idea, right? So I guess it's like a matter of how far can you go along that process, and where's that fine line to where you don't cross a boundary?
Well,
I guess that's my question.
That's such an interesting point, because what you're talking about is the whole concept of nothing is as it seems. Nobody is interested ever when I call them. So like, isn't that so interesting? We are all, so I don't know if you guys watch my videos. There's 2 types of agents out there. There's an inbound agent and an outbound agent. Have you guys heard me talk about that at all, Joseph?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Joseph, you are an outbound agent. There has never been one of your clients that was interested when you communicated in the beginning. That's the whole point. So remove that thought process right away. They're only interested when we do our job as professional, high-level communicators. When we put out great stimulus and people respond to that stimulus, then and only then do they get interested. I was talking to somebody the other day about this. If all of us went on the appointment with the same information, the person who's the better presenter gets the better result, right? If we all went there and we all 10, 20, 30 of you on this call followed this same 4-step process, some of you are going to suck, some of you are going to be awesome, some of you are going to knock it out of the park, and some of you would actually probably get a listing. All same information, all based on skill set on how we make people feel. We could all say the same words, you know?
I'm listening.
So that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's more so about that presentation and how we make people feel, and it's not necessarily the words. That's all.
And I was just I think about a lot of the time the concept of congruence, and how that would play into how you show up with people. I don't have a question centered around that, but I know that's super important when you meet with somebody. You have to be completely congruent, because I'm sure you're aware that sellers, they can sense when you're nervous or you're unsure, if there's any lack of certainty. So
100%.
Yeah.
You guys and girls, I get listings. Some of you have given me this same feedback. Like, how like I'll engage Joseph. Like, I'll never forget our call that I videoed, right? I have it on video. A lot of people love that video we made together.
Yeah.
Now, that wasn't scripted. That wasn't role played. That was actual connecting. You got a lot out of that, not because of the words, but because the way that we connected and the way that I made you feel. Would you agree with that?
I would agree.
Now, I do the same thing on a listing appointment. And so as you guys are trying to learn, okay, what are the words I have to say? What are the pieces of paper I need to bring? Although important, doesn't even come close to my ability to connect with other humans. And so what you're talking about is like spot on. That's 90% of it. Remember, I always tell you guys, like, that's the hardest part for me to teach you. That is I haven't figured it out yet. I cannot figure out a way to teach other humans on how to connect with other humans. It's so difficult. And so I spend all my days right now teaching you the words to say and the pieces of paper to bring, but you just knocked it out of the park. You have to work on, how can I connect with somebody? You called it congruency. And how do I read if I'm connecting or if I'm not connecting? Like, when I touch the hand, I'm touching the hand strategically because I know I need to make this point and I need to transfer energy to make them feel something, right? And so I'll touch the hand, right? All of those things, like, that's what you're talking about.
And I don't want to, dominate the conversation.
No, just talk.
Questions, but there was an example I heard the other day, because I'm studying a lot about social dynamics, and say for example, in the event of maybe there's some sort of catastrophe that happens, and in a room there's a lot of people that are in danger, and there's somebody in that room that steps up, right? Someone takes leadership, whereas and the kind of the mindset, or the dynamics behind it, is that a lot of people they're looking around for who has the most certainty, because they're still kind of caught up in what they had deemed as reality before is not what's in front of them right now. And I feel like a lot of these for sale by owners and expireds are going through that process of, well, I thought this is the way that reality was. So they're looking for the person that has the strongest frame of reality of, certainty and the ability to lead the way. So, part of my journey is trying to find out, how can I become, the most congruent, the person who has that higher frame of reality that, this is the way, this is how we're going to do it. Right. Because that's ultimately, I think, the idea that I've been entertaining is that the person with the strongest frame of reality wins.
Dude,
at the end of the day.
Joseph, you're nailing it. That's what I'm talking about. Like, these are just words. how I'm doing that with absolute conviction is the reason why I win. You know what I mean? And so the other thing I was going to say on that was how you do that. So if I'm an agent and I'm on this webinar right now and I'm saying, yeah, Joseph, I get it. I know what you're saying. How do I do it? If I'm a new agent and I don't have any certainty, how do I do that, right? And so the answer to that is absolute detach from the outcome completely. So I don't care about what's going to happen here. I'm going to go in this person's house and I am going to have so much conviction, so much confidence. It's going to be like a play on Broadway. And so many of you guys have asked me, well, what is it? What's the value I give when I go on these appointments? Like, what do I bring? Do I bring like pens, or do I bring like, branded bottles of waters? No, that's not what we're talking about. When we say value at these appointments, we're talking about how do you present this information in a way, this is the value. Like when I present a CMA, dude, it's like a theatrical presentation, and the homeowner's like, fuck, man, I had no idea about any of this stuff. Like I had no clue, And so we have to stop dismissing the information we don't perceive the value in it because you're so used to hearing these words. And so that's the value. You know what I mean?
Brandon, on the CMA, are you printing out something as simple as like this? Like this is what I'm bringing, and then I'm doing like the A, B, ranking the houses?
That's exactly right.
Okay, all right, cool.
And just make sure that you do the days on market presentation, right? Like that's like probably the most important piece there is I start off everything with, here's the days on market, here's why this matters. Let's pretend for a second you and Jill are buyers. You walk through the house, right? That whole thing, dude, it blows people away. And so now this whole thing around FSBOs, commissions, list or not list, it goes away. Now it's like this competition around this time frame. And now all my future follow-ups are built on this time frame. Dude, it changes the whole dynamic of everything.
Gotcha. So that's done on the preview appointment.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, because that's what I haven't included. I just go through the CMA, but I didn't go phone deaf like the way you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the meat of the whole thing. I mean, that when you guys ask me what value are we giving, it's that presentation, it's that transfer of information. Mike Broderick, you got the floor.
Yeah, I think Zillow listing review was one of them. So thanks, we got that one. And I pretty much got this one answered too. What I was going to ask was with the CMA, I remember in one of the Q&As that were recorded, someone had said they were getting pushback, well, my house is better than this house on CMA and so forth, and kind of distracted from it. So my question was going to be, would it be all right just to present, like market facts? Like I've got something in front of me here where I just put homes for sale in your market area. There's 5, how many are under contract, list price sales ratio, month supply. And then I get into how many showings per total contract. And then of course, average market time where you do the circle.
You nailed it. You just nailed it.
I mean, is that good enough, or should I be bringing like properties?
Nope. What you just said is exactly what you should be doing.
Okay.
We never talk about price. There should be no pricing recommendation. We call that getting caught with your pants down at the preview appointment.
Yeah.
Do not want to go down that path at all. We're talking market specific, not price specific. So you just
so should not bring that's what I guess what I should clarify is it's not really a CMA that I'm bringing because there's no listings like this one's better than yours, this one's a little bit
just
not as good as yours kind of a thing.
Yeah, it depends how your CMA prints out. I still have those with me.
Yeah.
But when I'm talking about the information, I'm just talking about market information.
Like what I have.
Yeah, like what you have.
Okay.
I specifically talk about this house being better or worse. You know what I mean? I just walk them through the market information.
Yeah, because their house is better than everybody's no matter what.
Of course. And it's not time to go down that path with somebody.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's really it for now. Yeah, that was great.
I had a quick question.
Conversation.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, David.
So I have an appointment tonight whereby I did the CMA, and they are priced too low on Zillow. So they really should be, they're leaving too much money on the table. And I wanted to go out there, and my approach was going to be, hey, listen, show them exactly what I have, but I wanted to at least have a listing agreement with me to say, by using an agent, you're going to be able to get probably more money, and here's why. Here's what we're going to do for you. How would you approach this if you know that the price that they have is not right, and you could cover the commission with the increased price? You could cover my commission and the buyer's agent commission. How would you approach it?
Yeah, make sure you take full advantage of those, because in your career are going to be very far and few between. So those are the best. And how you're going to approach it is exactly how I would approach it. I have a ton of fun with those. When my certainty is that they're priced too low, I am going to just go there and blow them away and do exactly, essentially approach it the way that you're going to approach it. It's like, yeah, you're leaving way too much money on the table. And here's essentially where you should be, right? Here's some things, and then go down that path that you're going to go down. But yeah, absolutely take full advantage of that opportunity.
Not be afraid to ask for the listing.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Good luck on that.
Yeah, that's good. It's just they're so far and few between. Like, that's just a listing that's so easy for us to help that person. I always look at it through that lens. Like, well, I was going to talk to you about looking at something in the future, but really, this is for you. This is for me, right? It just makes a lot of sense for them.
Well, I went on one yesterday, and it just seemed, and I like, obviously, the negative selling approach. I've gone on like 6 or 7 meetings, and it seems to be working. But there are times where I'll make the presentation, I totally connected with her, and I feel like all I need to do is kind of ask for the business.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that that's not what is necessarily being taught, rather, or am I seeing that wrong? Because I feel like, okay, talk to me about that then.
Yep. Every new person to my teachings have brought that up. So it's the way that it's coming across. This is so powerful. Let me just preference this. I get more now business today on this one meeting, reversing it, than I did my old technique of forcing it. That's going to happen to you all the time. So when you have the opportunity, you should jump all over the opportunity in a way in which I teach. So never, ever, David or anybody else, if someone's ready to sign a contract, I do not teach you to say, wait. Let's wait a couple more weeks, right? Never, dude. What I do is all in that situation where someone's ready to move forward, I'm going to move forward now. But you know what I'm also going to do? I'm also going to press them so hard that the expectation and how we're going to work together, this is like way down the road for people. I've done it so well that when we work together, the experience is so good. So let me give you an experience. So let me give you an example. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you and I, David, we're having our conversation and things are going well. And I say something like this, David, it sounds like based on our conversation, it could make sense that we do this now. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Right. I think the point that I'm missing along the way is that that the process is X number of weeks typically, and you want to touch them this number of times. And I'm not asking when I think that there's the possibility of listing it.
Yeah. So
that's probably what I have to do. That
can happen on day one. All I'm talking about is the law of averages, right?
Right. Yep.
So hold on, play that out with me. I tell you, sounds like based on everything we talked about, some of these things could probably help you right now. I mean, am I right? And you say yes.
Yes. Yeah.
All that I'm saying here is, and then, I might not even go down this path because it's going to confuse you guys, but I'm pushing you back even more. Like, really? I mean, why do this right now? Why not try it for a couple more weeks? And then
why would you do that? I don't understand.
I know. It's that's why I wasn't going to go down that path, because I want you to say to me, which I do all the time with everybody. I do it. I've recruited 77 agents in 60 days doing the same thing. Yeah. And so I do that because I want the seller to say, because man, like, I don't want to stay on the market for too long and risk losing money. like everything you offering, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't do it. Right? That's what I'm looking for. And now the whole dynamic of our relationship is backwards. Now they respect me. Now I'm the consultant. Now I'm the advisor. Because the whole time, every amateur salesperson is like, man, you need to do this. Here's all the features. Here's all the benefits. And the consumer's like, oh God, it's the same thing when you walk into the department store and they say, David, how can I help you? What do you say every time?
Well, you say no thanks. But a good salesman or salesperson would say, I see that you're, searching for a tie today. What specifically do you have in mind? Or are there things that you like about this? That I would ask deep, open-ended questions.
Let me tell you what a super ninja salesperson does. They use open-ended questions that are reverse. So, hey, I see you're looking for ties today. Why not just use a tie that you have in your closet?
Because the ones in my closet are outdated and pieces of shit.
Really? Tell me more.
Well, I've had them for about 4 years, and I just, I bought a new suit and I need a blue tie.
So let me ask you this. What I'm hearing you say is if I showed you a blue tie today, you'd actually buy it?
Well, if you show me the right one.
You're kidding me.
No, why do you say that?
Well, man, because most of the people I talk to, David, are all this, right? They come into my store every day and they're just shopping, they're just looking, but you sound different. You sound like you're actually ready to take action. Like, are you kidding?
Yeah, I need a tie, so this is a department store. That's why I came here.
Wow. All right, so check this out. Like, this blue tie is handmade from Italy, and dude, today, like right now, it's only $10. But again, most people I talk to, they're just looking. They have no intention of actually pulling their credit card out, giving it to me, and taking this away from home. Is that what you're saying you want to do right now?
Well, I can't see why somebody would come here without their credit card if they were going shopping for a tie.
I'm with you, man. Should we just go ahead and get this wrapped up?
Yeah, definitely. But that one's ugly, so get a different one.
Right? So that's all. All I'm doing is I'm having you tell me. I'm trying to prevent the objections. I'm trying to.
It's an interesting way of doing it. So I think I just have to get used to it.
Yeah, I'm preventing buyer's remorse. I'm preventing future price reduction conversations. I'm preventing, hey, you know what, David, we thought about it last night. I know we signed the agreement. You know what, we're just not really ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm preventing all of – now, this is like really advanced shit. I just did a quick little role play around the tie thing. It gets really, really deep, right? And so you heard it from a high level. But, yeah, when people are ready to move forward, I'm moving forward. I'm taking the contract today.
Okay.
But
I don't think that they're ready. I don't think that they know they're ready to move forward because they are obviously out on the market at the wrong price. So I think there's some questioning around how did you arrive at your price? Here's what I found with by utilizing me, you're going to be able to benefit from X, X, and X and still cover my commission.
Well, how are you going to do that?
Well, let me show you. And then I would show them.
But you see the problem, right? It's still tit for tat selling back and forth. So I would prefer, like what I would teach you over time is imagine a world, David, where we get you the price you're at right now, I believe is too low, right? Imagine a world that we go on the market, we sell the house for more than you anticipated. We put more money in your pocket than you anticipated. I'm sure right now, you don't look at that option, but at some time in the future, you'd be open to that. Am I right?
Yes, I would be.
Not now though.
Well, yeah, I would. If you're saying that you can do that, then definitely I'm interested in hearing more about it. That's
the difference. So that's the difference because you're the consumer. You're pushing me down that path. So of course I'm going to go down that path, right? And so it's just the different way because the other way, you're asking for objections. You're asking for pushback. You're asking for the think it overs. I got to talk to my wife. You're asking for all of those things. Right? And so if I bring this out and say, listen, looks like this thing makes a ton of sense for you, but I'm sure you're like everybody else. Before you actually sign an agreement, you got to talk to your wife. Am I right? There's no way you can do this right now without talking to her.
Well, I would like to consult the key, and I actually switched this appointment around from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock so both decision makers could be there because I am going to go and hope, come back with the listing.
You nailed it, right? So if I had talked about that on the phone, here's the deep piece of this. I have that conversation on the phone. There's no way you can make a decision this big without your wife. Am I right? They're either going to tell me, you're right. Okay, great. Now I need the wife there. Or they're going to say, no, I can make this decision without her there. Her and I are totally on the same page. If I'm getting to the result that I want without getting through the pushback or the objections, I deal with them all up front.
And without doing the feature benefit type thing.
You got it.
Okay.
Because that style of selling, the consumers are better at it than we are. They know your closes better than you. They know, they can smell it, they can sniff it, they can hear it, they can taste it. They know it so fucking well. And that's why their guards and their objections are so much better than old school sales tactics.
Right. A good point. I mean, I've got to get to that level.
You need to get the book Spin Selling today.
Okay.
Everybody should go buy it. It's called Spin Selling.
Who's the author? His last name?
Hold on.
It looks like it's
Go and pull it up.
Neil Rackman.
Yep, Neil Rackman. There you go. Thank you.
Yep.
The best book on selling on planet Earth.
I'm reading Fanatical Prospecting, so I'll have to finish that first.
Yeah, Jeb Blunt, he's good. This Spin Selling book will change your life.
I gotta check it out then.
You guys should read The Slight Edge by
Yeah,
Jeff
it's good
Anderson.
too.
It's not a selling book, but it's life-changing.
It's like The Compound Effect from Darren Hardy.
Yeah, I haven't read The Compound Effect yet, but it's definitely like really, really good stuff. Like it changed my perspective on how I do business.
And that's called The Slight Edge. It's really good.
Compound Effect?
What happened?
What's it called?
There's two books. There's The Slight Edge and there's The Compound Effect. Both really, really good books.
Yeah, it really changed your views on personal life and as well business.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey, Brandon, quick question.
Hey, thanks for entertaining that question.
Yeah, dude, no worries. Absolutely. Go ahead, Tyne.
Kane, by the way.
Kane, I know. I always screw it up. You just got to bear with me, dude.
It looks like it's pronounced that way, so no worries. So your reverse selling method, do you use that even if it's not a for sale by owner? So like, let's say I get, okay. So that's because I have another appointment, but it's not really for sale by owner. So you would pretty much put out there, like, why are you guys thinking of, just throwing it out there?
Let me give you guys perspective on this. This is the way I communicate. And so I learned this through Neil Rackham and the Sandler Sales Institute, right? So that's where this is based from. So I use the same thing in all of my communication. Like here's a question I ask real estate agents all day, every day, all day. And the thing I ask them is, like, why in the world would you even want to join a company like mine? Why don't you just stay put? And then they go on this long dissertation around because my broker doesn't help me, because I'm paying too much in fees, and all of this stuff. Could you imagine, David, this goes back to you. Let me just unmute you for a second. You guys are going to really get it, okay? So when I ask that question to a realtor, why in the world would you even change? Why not you just stay put? And then they spend the next 15 minutes telling me all the reasons on why they would want to change companies. Is it more powerful coming from their mouth or from my mouth? And be honest.
It's definitely more powerful coming from my mouth.
100%. And that's what the whole premise of reverse selling or spin selling is built on, is where is the information coming from, right? And so if it's coming from you, it's called the Socratic method. It's what Socrates built his whole life on. The top litigators, the litigators that are on $1 million salaries, they are masters of spin selling. They are masters of reverse selling in the Socratic method because they get the person on the stand to just spill their guts with stuff, right? And they don't have to say anything. It's amazing watching it. It's like a really good movie. And that's what I've spent the last 5 years trying to master. I'm still not there. I'm trying to get there. But like David, like I was always like you. I was always a traditional sales guy. I fought this for a very, very long time. And then when I surrendered to it, I'm like, God, it's so much more powerful.
I think that I don't know that I characterize myself as a traditional sales guy because I do gravitate to the way that you do a lot of what you do. I think that I'm missing the point sometimes where I'm going on these appointments. It's going super well. I'm building great rapport. but they're not coming right out and saying, hey, we would list with you today, but I feel like I'm leaving something behind by at least not putting it out there as an option.
So you should always do that. If you feel like things are going well, this is where we're going to use the assumptive language, right? Hey, listen, based on everything we talked about today, David, unless I'm missing something, I'm thinking for you guys, it could make sense for us to move forward now. Like, am I hearing that right? And let them tell you, you know what, David? Yeah, we really liked you. We really liked how this went today. You know what? We're in good shape. Okay, great. Well, here's the next steps in the process, and I move forward.
That's a great point. So it's an assumptive piece to it that I'm not doing.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Glad I asked a question.
Absolutely, dude.
I'm going to use it tonight.
I love it. I love it. Let us know how you do tonight.
Definitely.
Cool, brother.
All right.
All right. Steven.
Hey, Brandon. Question for you. So a couple of weeks ago, you talked about that you were doing, starting to do more and more with regular mailing,
Yes.
United States Post Office mailing, not emailing.
Yeah.
I'm starting to do that with some of my FSBOs that I'm unable to get on the phone, which is quite a few of them.
Yeah.
So what would that mailing look like, or are you mailing FSBOs right now?
Yep. I am. What I'm running on the board. Can everyone see that? Is that big enough? This is going to change everything for everyone. So this just came out to the world. So I have been spending the last couple of months, like Kevin, you don't even know about this. Nobody knows about this. This is what I've been implementing. This is the whole follow-up system that we've had to piece together over the last 10 years that is now all built on autopilot. So this is a new company that you guys are all going to get access to. I'm just putting the final pieces together. You have to access this through like a sponsor. So long story short, Steve, yes, we mail them a lot. And now imagine a world on all the stuff that we talk about, all the stuff that we offer, all the stuff that we do. You can put it all on autopilot with a click of a button through a company called Banner Season. And so what Banner Season does is it allows you to build out a direct mail campaign with everything that we communicate, and it will send it all for you with a click of a button. You can do this with FSBOs, past clients, your sphere of influence, your database, all of those things, Steve. And so I just need a couple more weeks before I roll this out to you guys. But the online course will be updated with this whole new system. All the follow-up stuff I teach you guys is now going to be put onto this platform. And it's amazing. We're really excited about it, and it's coming soon.
That's specifically for follow-up mail or?
Follow-up mail.
Is that company one that you're starting, or is it existing with your deal? Like, in other words, are you starting the company, or does that company exist and it's just the Brandon Morenin way? Yeah,
this company just started.
Okay.
And I don't have any ownership in it at all. But it's heavily influenced by me and some other people in real estate.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It is the new and improved version of a company that you guys probably all heard of, which is Send Out Cards, right? So a lot of you, if you've heard about Send Out Cards, this is like the new sexy version. We stole the CEO of that company, and we made the company really cool and really sexy. You'll have the actual training inside of the module the FSBO domination, but there will be a cost associated with mailings if you choose to implement it. Absolutely. Yep. But so what exists today, what we were always doing now, Steve, is on a mass mailing, I would hire a company like I've been using Rocket Print, right? I was using them for a long time with mass mailings, right? Mm-hmm. Letters and different shit. And then more specifically though, when I went to a targeted list, like a FSBO or a for rent by owner, absentee owner, something like that, then I would have to take on the brunt work of me or my assistant or someone in my company sticking the stamp on there, having to piece all this shit together. There's a better way, right? Like technology is so far advanced. Now we just put like a drip campaign through the mailbox. Mm-hmm. That's what it is, right?
Pretty awesome, man.
It's amazing, David. It's amazing. And so, like the first one, and I'll show you guys one really quick. Hold on one sec. So with these, they're called gigograms. So they're 8.5 by 11. You can brand the envelope. You can communicate on the envelope that comes in the mail. So the FSBO backup plan, it's going to say on the envelope, Laura Mosconi in Florida, it's going to say, what happens if you can't sell on your own, right? And this goes in an 8.5 by 11 in the envelope. Then they pull out this card, right? That's fully designed. And it's an 8.5 by 11 piece, right? And it's all built out for you. And it's on really, really nice cardstock. And so you can do that and you can send gifts with it. And the best thing about it, it's all automated, right? You build out the campaign one time, and now all the leads you guys are generating every day, right? You can put them on your weekly emails, and now you can put them on your direct mail drip campaign with a click of a button. Super powerful shit.
No doubt.
So once I'm just perfecting what I'm doing is I'm building out, I have my designer building out all of the designs for the FSBO backup plan and all of the flexible commissions and all the stuff so that people like you guys can just plug into our designs and all of our campaigns that are built out for you.
Cool.
Any idea on pricing, like what one would be, or can you?
Yeah. So to send out the 5x7 card that's like half this size is $1. It's $1.
And to go through the program the way you have it set up, how many touches are there? Like, in other words, that kind of thing. Talk about that. Like, how many times would you send out? What would be the total cost?
Yeah. So on a FSBO campaign or an expired campaign, I have those built on sending out 8 things. So this is called a gigagram. So the whole campaign would be like $25. Right. And you'd send out an 8.5 by 11 card with the branded envelope with a gift as the number one thing. Then they would get 7 cards over 7 weeks based on all the value proposition. And then the last one in the campaign is another big one with another gift saying, hey, are you ready to review the backup strategy? And the whole campaign is going to be like between $20 and $25.
Beautiful.
So $25 on a lead that you generate through the phone, dude, it's like super sexy stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know that I don't want to take over. I just had one other quick question.
No problem.
So when you're doing a FSBO open house, in the program you talk about actually going out and sending out those cards, the slick cards like what you just showed me, to the different homeowners that are around the neighborhood. Can you substitute that with like a slide voicemail sent out to the entire neighborhood?
Yep. That's pretty much what I have most of our agents do now is instead of calling through all of those neighborhoods, just drop a voicemail with Sly Broadcast and invite them all to the open house.
All right, cool. That's what I was hoping you'd say that.
Yeah. And not only to that point, but James Mudd, I think you've been doing a lot of this. A lot of agents that are in my company now, like they don't make any direct calls because it's too uncomfortable for them. So I'm like, well, you can bypass that now with Sly Broadcast. I don't recommend that like for everything of your prospecting, but there's no excuses now. Any agent with any comfort, like whether you're comfortable or not, dude, you could still communicate with the same lead sources and never talk to anybody.
I know James sounds like he's in beast mode in Dallas, man.
Yeah. So let's unmute yourself, James Mudd, real quick. I want to hear about that too. Oh, let me see. There you go.
All right. Yeah. I've had no problem setting appointments. The ones I'm sending Sly Broadcast to is the old ones. Now that I'm all caught up with the old ones, the new, fresh ones, I'm calling by phone. And I'm able to set the appointments. This week's been kind of brutal I had 12 in 4 days.
Yeah.
And so, I haven't been going prepared with the CMA or anything like that. So just because I hadn't had time with all the other stuff I have to prepare all that. So I've been going in there and just building rapport, seeing the house, planting the seed. with the backup plan, stuff like that. I've got probably 5 or 6 good ones in my funnel that are that I'm gonna continue to nurture. I've got 2 more today that I'm gonna go on, and it's been good as I go along. I'm getting much more, I guess, much more direct with people, just because it's a lot of time driving out there, spending my time out there. So I'm finding myself as I progress asking the questions and trying not to push too hard, but I can kind of feel who I can do that with and who I can't. So
yeah, can I hit timeout real quick, James? And just, that's a really good example. You guys listen to what James just said. I started off this Q&A with, I don't know who I was talking to about it. In the beginning, you need to learn to get comfortable communicating with this demographic, right? Then what happens really quickly, James, like you, is you have 12 appointments in 2 days. Like, it becomes overwhelming. Then so now you need to change. Like right now, my coaching for you is that you graduate now to a different script, that you're only going on the appointments, James, for the people that agree to explore the backup strategy. Like, that would be the reason for going to the home, versus the reason you're going for the home now is to look at the house for a potential buyer. Like, that's what you're doing, right? So it might be time now for you to shift that strategy. This is what I was talking about, you guys, is like when you get to that point where James is, where you have 12 appointments in 3 days, shift it now. Because
that's script 3, is that right?
That's right. Because James, wouldn't you rather go on 3 or 4 appointments per week where the purpose of the appointment was to discuss I erased it, was to discuss the backup strategy? Like, that would be a lot. That's what you're talking about, is being more direct, more assertive. Well, that's what I consider a preview appointment with all lead sources. All leads I'm talking about is like, I'm going to come over, I'm going to look at the house. When I'm there, I'm going to walk you through some new information, some new strategies, some new tactics for you to consider, whether that be now or in the future. And then, James, you can decide what makes the most sense for you and your family. Is that fair? James says yes, boom, I'm going on that appointment all day, every day.
Right on.
And then the other thing, before the slide broadcast, so you're uploading old lists into slide broadcast, recording a voicemail. Hey, this is James. I saw your house go on the market. Was just curious if you're open to working with the buyer's agent. If you are, give me a call back. Boom, hit a button, drop the voicemail out to 100 FISBOs, and then 4 or 5, 6, 7, 10 of them call you back.
Every time.
Yep.
Just sit there and wait for them to come in, and then you just go to the script after that when they call.
That's it.
So
when you use that third script, Brandon, when you like what James was saying, and you're telling him to qualify it a little bit more with the third script, are you still going with the mindset that it's more exploratory, or are you going with the mindset that, hey, I'm presenting the backup plan and I'm going to ask for the business most likely?
Well, I'm going to make that decision when I'm on the appointment.
Okay.
Because I don't know, right? I'm going to do exactly what we talked about. I'm going to go there. I'm going to blow them away with my presentation, my ability to connect, my expertise, and I'm going to go down that path, right? And we're either going to explore that now, or because that's the other thing. When you go on the appointments under the circumstances of the backup plan, you get closer to getting the listings right there on the spot, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's what I would think.
That's exactly what happens. Because if they're like, yeah, come on over, I'd love to hear that backup strategy. What they're asking for really is a listing appointment, right? So the whole thing around this, you guys, I don't know if you saw my video I released last night. It's what I'm about to tell you right now. Just start communicating in hypotheticals for the future. It is amazing what humans will tell you if it's not about making a decision right this second. It's incredible, right? Incredible. Because none of you, not any one of you, would do this. Ready? Watch this. Laura, can you unmute yourself real quick? I'm just going to do this with you because I have a relationship with you, and I think you'd be okay with. Oh, is she free? She's gone. All right. I'll just ask anybody. Like, any of you, who of you are married right now? All right. So, Steve, I'm going to ask you because we got a good relationship too.
Okay.
All right. If you divorce your wife today, right now, okay, would you marry Laura Mosconi today? It'd be impossible for you to answer that. It would be impossible. So rather than talking about absolutes like that, I would prefer that you guys communicate like, Steve, let me ask you this. In the event for some weird thing you and your wife doesn't work out, would you consider every time in the future, at least consider maybe getting married again?
Sure.
That's a different question, right? So what I'm doing, David, is when I'm communicating with people over the phone and face-to-face, I'm talking about where's their mindset at about making decisions about certain topics in the future. And if I get the right answer, I can pull those closer to today and the reality, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I do every time.
Exploratory.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
So I had a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
I know I wrote some on that underneath that post, so I can't remember what those were, but
I got them
I
right
guess
here.
when I do start taking the CMA out there, how's a good way to transition into showing them the CMA part of it?
Yep. So here's that first bridge I was talking about, James. So here's what it sounds like, you guys. So after the home tour, right, we're getting ready to wrap up the home tour. I've gone through the property. I've got some good notes. I'm saying this exact thing. I'm saying, hey, James, hey, listen, you got a great house. I'm just curious, before I leave, would you be offended if I shared with you some of the things I saw from a market perspective that could relate to your home sale, right? And that comes out 1,000 different ways. But my first thing is, James, got a great house. I'd love to share with you some feedback. Would you be offended if I shared with you some of the homework I did before I came over?
Excellent. Yeah, that's good.
Right? And they say, no, man, that'd be great. And then you're at the table talking about the CMA.
Okay, good. That's great. And the other thing I had was, can you go over when they say, I know it's in the training somewhere, but I just want to hear what you would say. When they always say, do you have a buyer? You bring in a buyer to see the house? That, I know that's basic 101, but
no, it's all right. It's a really common objection. So if you're still using script 1.0, you're going to get that objection all the time, right? So the response to that, if you're using that script, is nope, not yet. What I'm doing, James, is I'm going to look at all the homes that hit the market in the last week or so, and I'm going to take a look at all the inventory. And I was trying to figure out if I had some time this week to come check out yours. Are you home in the afternoons or evenings better for you? That's my response every single time to that. Okay. Now, if I'm using other scripts, the buyer word, the B word, never comes up. Okay. I avoid that like the plague, right? All of my communication right now today in my business has nothing to do with the B word. It's all based on backup strategy only.
Okay, that's good.
Because I don't want to get caught up in, because what happens with a lot of agents, when they set up the preview appointment based on that, all future communications are, James, do you have a buyer? 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 Do you have a, and you can never get to the point to take that at bat to get the listing.
Yeah, okay.
So your agents are starting, Brandon, if you're bringing in people and running them through your program, you're starting them with script 2 and then transitioning them to script 3, or do they start with script 3 immediately?
There's no exact science. It all depends on the agent's current, like a brand new agent has no listings, no pendings, nothing going on all the time in the world. They're going 1.0 every single time. I want them to get out there on the field, get some bumps, get some bruises, get your face beat in a little bit. If an agent comes to me and they've got an established business already, like, dude, I've got actives, I've got pendings, I know what I'm doing, then we probably start them off on a different script.
Okay.
But if I'm a brand new, like if I'm like David, where do you, I'm going to get right back to you, James, I promise. If I move, David, where do you live?
I live in Virginia Beach, and I'm using script 2, but I really haven't messed around with it that much. I'm using script 2.
Yeah.
So,
if I moved,
but I have 0 on the, 0 out there, brand new agent.
Yeah. So I would be going on as much as I could.
And I am.
Awesome.
I am. Yeah.
Go ahead, James.
Okay. I forgot who it was. Somebody in there was talking about a Zillow review. They're printing out the Zillow ad.
Yep.
Did I miss that somewhere in the training, or I don't remember seeing that?
No, I haven't added that into the course yet. But all we're doing is we're going on Zillow. Yeah, he's got it right now. Look at you see that? Can you see?
So I just print out a screenshot of their Zillow, right? And then I'll print out a screenshot of similar properties, And pretty much what I tell them is I point out the days on the market, the views, and how the saves work. So I just explain to them how the Zillow algorithm works. The more people view your property, the more people sees, but the more Zillow will show to other people. And as well, the more people that saves, the more people it will get shown to, and they also get alerted when open houses happens. And a lot of people, when you tell them about that, they're just like so amazed, like, wow, I had no idea. And I start providing them resources. I was like, yeah, I have a professional photographer, all that. And literally I just provide them resources, and they're just like very thankful for that.
Okay, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
So the other thing is with this, I'll share my screen. Like, just to his point, here's like a random FSBO in my market. You're just printing this out, right? You're printing this thing out and just taking it with you on the appointment. But the other thing I talk about when I do a Zillow ad review is I'm talking about, like you could see their days on market, right? And I circle that back to the CMA and say, listen, houses that are listed with professional brokerage, they all sell in 20 days. Like right now, all the consumers see this. So I talk about that. And then I also talk about who they believe Zillow's consumer is. This is the best conversation you'll ever have with a FSBO.
That's a good one.
It's really good. So
Can you go through that?
Yeah. So when you ask a consumer, especially a FSBO, and you ask them, hey, who do you believe is Zillow's customer? They all say me, like the homeowner, blah, blah, blah. When they find out it's the realtor, their jaw is on the ground. When you say every piece of their revenue and the reason they exist is because they win your eyeballs so that you put your house on their platform for free, right? Like there's no free anything in the world. What do you think they're doing with that information? Why is it that you think you get so many phone calls from realtors and no buyers are calling you? And they're like, wow, I'm like, that's the only reason they want you to put your house on there so they can turn around and sell that back to me. And they're just blown away.
You throw that in at the end, or?
I mean, wherever it comes up. As I'm doing the Zillow review, though, I always bring that up.
Gotcha. Because I know what I've been doing is I just ask them, like, hey, are you aware of how Zillow works? How their algorithm works, and they'll just say no almost
right.
All the time. And then I just go to that. But I guess I'll throw that in after that, too.
Yeah, you got to add that piece. They need to know who is Zillow's master.
I'm as handsome as him. So.
James, that makes sense?
Yeah, that does. That brings up another point real quick. And I think that answers it. In the training, you talk about the newness. It messes up the newness when it's been on Zillow for a while and then they list it.
Yep.
But when it's listed, it's going to have, start out at 0 days. How's that messing up the newness? Only if they go and look on Zillow too?
That's right.
Okay. Because it's always.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's another piece of doubt that I instill during the Zillow ad review. That's another thing. Tyne, say your name one more time.
Tane.
Tane. Fuck, man, that's so hard to say.
No worries, dude.
The other thing you guys got to add to James' point is, listen, if you ever go down the path of hiring an agent, this whole days on market thing, by this time, they're scared shitless. Like, they do not want to be over the days on market time. So I'm like, the uphill battle we have with Zillow is right now, you're already over that threshold. Like, that just freaks them out. And so they're kind of like, hey, how can I get that reset? Can I get that reset? If I list it with you, can I get that reset? So James, you got to bring that up, which gives them a lot more doubt as well.
Okay, that's great. That's great. And then one more thing, when they say, oh, the house is vacant, it's got a lockbox on it. How do you get in front of them? Because basically I don't want to go out there if there's a lockbox on it.
Well, yeah, it depends. I mean, if it's easy to get to, I think you still go, because now you have a framework of your follow-up, right? You weren't going to get the listing on the appointment if they were home anyway. So if it's easy and it's in your schedule, go, and so that's the way I handle those. And so sometimes I'll go, sometimes I won't. But obviously you want to meet them face-to-face. That's the whole point. But if you can't, I still may go if it's in my market, so that over the next 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 weeks, I can reference it back, because most agents aren't going to go. And if I'm the guy that can reference that paint stain in the kitchen that needs to get taken care of, that's going to help you convert that long term.
Okay, good. And then the other thing I have is I set up all my drip emails. I've got that going.
Awesome.
I was gonna get with send out cards today to to do that. Should I wait?
Wait. Trust me, just wait.
All right, sounds good.
I got you. Don't worry. I just need a couple more weeks, and I'll plug you into banner season. It's so much better.
All right, sounds good. That's all I got.
Cool, brother. Great job, man. Keep it up, James. It seems like you're doing really good work. So just stay in the pocket and keep going, man. I think things are really going to start to take off for you.
All right, thanks.
It's nice seeing James on Facebook group too. It's
What's that?
keeps you going. Well, James posts quite a bit on the Facebook group, and it's pretty motivating. You know, all of it is, but he's been pretty transparent in his efforts, and
I love it, James.
gets me going too. So thank you.
Yeah, James, thank you for being honest. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for the transparency. You help everybody indirectly, and you don't even know it. So the more, so thank you for that. That's the feedback, and Mike's spot on.
Question, Brandon. What do you say for people that have relatives that are realtor? Do you I try not even stressing about it that much because it's such a small percentage, and there's so many people out there that I could help. So I really haven't been I really haven't been objectifying that.
I always respond this way, right? I make them know that I know that every human should at least know a couple realtors, okay? Right? So you tell me, hey, I know somebody in the business, whatever. It's always the same objection. I always respond with, of course. I don't even absolutely. And I make a joke of it. Here's exactly what it sounds like, okay? Let me go through it and I'll break it down.
Sure.
I'm like, of course. I don't know anybody on earth that doesn't have at least a few friends that are realtors. I get that. It makes a ton of sense. My thing for you, right? Take me out of the equation for just a second. My thing for you is I want a non-biased interview with an agent that I don't know to make sure that when I hire my friend or my family member, that I'm holding them honest because I have a non-biased opinion from someone that I don't know. For you, I'm sure you want the same thing. Am I right?
Yeah.
They always say yeah, just like you did. You're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So listen, chances are you're going to hire your brother Bill, but when you interview me and have a non-biased third-party opinion, just like you would do if you were sick, right? You'd go see a couple doctors. This would be the same thing. And through that consultation, when we meet, you may have some new thoughts, some new ideas that either A, solidify you working with Uncle Bill, or maybe you look at a different option, but at least you have your cards on the table. Is that fair?
Yeah, fair.
That's how I handle that whole thing every time.
Is that in the course too? The script?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one thing I've been struggling with. This morning, I just ran into somebody that said their father was a realtor. I asked him, oh, your father's in Virginia Beach? And he was like, yeah. And I just pretty much, all right, well, yeah, it sounds like you're in good hands then.
I know.
It's your dad. I don't know. I would use my dad if he was a realtor too, so.
No doubt. Sometimes, listen, that's not a bulletproof script I just went through. However, all I'm trying to help them understand is you're probably going to go with dad,
Yeah.
but dad may, you want to have at least another opinion.
Okay.
And the other thing is too, that I try to tend to talk to these people about, but it's hard because it's just words. They haven't experienced it. Dude, if you have any experience listing and selling property in real estate, there's always problems. They never go good. Ever. They're always a pain in the ass. Every time. And so my other thing is with people, I'm like, how does that go? When all the challenges start coming up, and if the house isn't selling, do you fire dad? Are you worried about that at all? Or is that just not a non-concern? Because here's the benefit for somebody like you hiring a stranger. If I don't do my job, you'd have no problem firing me. Am I right?
Yeah.
So I get people to think that way. They're like, man, he's right. Let me just hear this dude out, right?
Gotcha.
That's all I try to do.
All right, makes sense. Another question, Brandon. In the course, do you eventually go over the other source of leads, like assisted living, for example? I want to start a program for assisted living because there's a couple of assisted living communities around my area. But do you eventually get to that? I've just been focusing on the FSBO, but I like that idea a lot of the program. I think it's 7% commission or something like that. I just don't know how to work it out.
So I don't, not yet. It's really been focused on FSBOs, right? One day I have a vision of having training on all things real estate. You know what I mean? It's just from a priority standpoint, I haven't got to it yet. That's all.
No problem. Well, I had an idea of how you do it through your free content you provided once. But so 7%, and do I handle the movers and all that stuff
You
involved?
pay them all.
Okay, so is it out of my commission once it's sold?
Well, the way I have it structured is I pay for it all up front.
Really? Oh,
That's
wow.
why I can justify charging 7%, because these family members that are moving grandpa and grandma into these assisted living, dude, they don't have any money. They can't make it happen. So I am their bridge. I make that happen for them. So yeah, I'll take on all the risk. I'll take on it all out of pocket, but then I should have a reward. And all the families I work with are like, yeah, dude, fucking charge 8%. You know what I mean? Because it's the state. There's no motion now, right? It's an estate. They have to make this happen. So I played with 8%, 10% stuff, you know.
So you pretty much coordinate everything. And have you ever had an incident where you paid everything and then didn't work out? Like,
no, because the money for that is through the equity of the home. So I get the price at whatever I want the price at. I drop it. I don't have to ask them. Like, we need to drop the price, because they have to have the funds.
Gotcha.
You can charge whatever you want in that niche.
Gotcha. And you just pretty much call the sales manager and just meet in person and just discuss it pretty much?
That's right. Because think about that. I'm the bridge to their paycheck too.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have all these consumers that need to put grandpa into the assisted living. Grandpa doesn't have any money. He owns the house. They have to sell the house. The sales manager can't get paid commission until they sell the house. So they all love me. You can do whatever you want.
Do you have a template for like an agreement for that by any chance that I could?
No, it's a standard listing contract. I'm just putting 7%, 8%, 10%, whatever.
And then you just write something else in writing, I guess, saying that you'll handle movers, all that stuff.
Yes. Yep. I'm putting it into an addendum, saying here's everything I'm going to handle, right?
Cool.
And then I partner with all of those people. So think about that. Even goes deeper. I partner with all of those vendors who now give me money to market in my business. So like, that's the other thing. Once you guys start to scale your business, you don't have to pay for anything anymore.
Gotcha.
So I've got my builders and my painters and my contractors and title and mortgage and insurance people and car sales people. They all just feed me money.
Hey, Tane?
Yeah.
Let's friend request me, because I'd like to do that too, so we can hash out some ideas together.
Cool, man. We'll do.
Gosh, how do you say his name so well, James? And I can't even say it. Tyne.
Yeah, don't worry, man. It's a tough name to pronounce. I actually have that like written in my resume.
Dude, you should change your name to Tim.
Tim?
I'm just kidding. All right, y'all, I got to go. This was a really good, meaty Q&A. This is how they should be, right? So keep bringing this stuff, and you'll get more value out of these every single week.
Cool. I ran into a Frisbo that's watched you on YouTube. And
you did?
Yeah, it was fucking hilarious.
Oh my gosh, I think about that all the time. How did that go?
It was hilarious. He was cool about it. He started laughing. When I brought up.
No way.
He started laughing. I was like, "Oh, what's so funny?" He's like, "So you sound just like that guy Brandon on YouTube."
Oh my!
And I was like, "You want to hear something funny?" I was like, "Yeah, that's my coach actually." And so we just started laughing. We just talked about it. He's like, "Yeah, come on, man, check out the house." It didn't turn into anything, but I just went to go preview the home, built the relationship, and he sold the house on his own anyways.
Dude, it's hilarious. I think about so here's what I think about. Like I have a big sphere and I do a lot of videos. I'm like, shit, dude, what if my sphere starts seeing all my YouTube stuff for realtors? Like it's weird, dude. I think about this every day. So I have 2 YouTube channels. I'm like, well, they can just find both of them and I'm fucking screwed.
Did you run into that yet?
What's that?
Did you run into that yet?
No, not once.
That was so funny. I mean, we just made fun of it. It was funny.
It's so hilarious, dude. I think about it all the time.
Yeah,
like if I'm a FSBO, I'm going on and looking at all the realtors' FSBO conversion secrets, right?
Yep, and then eventually you ran into yours. That's what we were talking about, because I was like, how did you run into his? I'm like, are you a realtor? He's like, no, I just, I started looking into how to sell my own home. And I just started going through YouTube and eventually ran across this guy and I just watched his video. And then here you go, a day later, giving me his pitch. I was like, wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
God, now I'm going to worry about it even more.
It hasn't happened since, but I was like, what do I say the next time? Because he caught me off guard and I just laughed. I was like, all right, you got me.
you know what you do next time? You're like, all right, dude, let's see what's my flexible commission program look like? What's my backup strategy look like? How well do you know this?
Yeah.
I don't know if it hurts you. You know what I mean? It might help you. I think the FSBO might like, wow, I like that approach. It's just a backup plan.
Yeah, it warmed up the conversation great, but he ended up selling that home on his own anyways. So.
Sure. That is hilarious.
All right, thanks,
All right,
Brandon.
guys. Have an awesome week. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Same to you, man.
Good one.
Bye, guys.
Okay.